nurse just wanted to put me in this little dark, little bright room, and I thought, oh, I want to see him. I want to see my son.
And they was playing around like children do, and we heard a great big thud. I ran upstairs to see Rosa on the floor, lifeless, totally lifeless. I'm Joanna Quigley-Phipps. I'm part of SAD UK. I'm a patient coordinator for them, and I have long QT, type 1. Well, first of all, we had a phone call from school about Rosa not being well, and they said, Rosa's not well, she's had an episode which looks like a fit. So off we go to the local hospital once again, and we went in and they said, what's happened? I said, Rosa's had a fit, so the school tell us. So they take Rosa off and they did an EEG, which is they put little dots on Rosa's head and stick little wires to her head, and they looked at it and they said, yeah, there is some abnormal brain waves there. She could have epilepsy. And this went on continuously, quite some times with Rosa, and we kept going back. And they said, well, I think we ought to treat her with Epilin. So they gave us this drug and we took it away, and we wasn't convinced that we should be taking this medication for Rosa, so we didn't give it to her. And then finally, one Sunday morning, Rosa was playing upstairs with her younger sister, Zoe, and they was playing around like children do, and we heard a great big thud. I ran upstairs to see Rosa on the floor, lifeless, totally lifeless. No life in her whatsoever, she was blue. So I thought, what do I do here? Feel her pulse, there was no pulse. Start to resuscitate her. And tell my younger daughter to ring for an ambulance. She rang for an ambulance and she was telling the ambulance people, my sister's dead. So they finally came. They did a 12-lead CDCG on Rosa, which were never done before, never. Nothing was done like that before. And took us off to the L&D, and finally we saw a doctor from Great Ormond Street, and he said to us, well, I think Rosa has got long QT. At the time, they didn't say what type it was. They told us she'd got long QT. We said, what? Long QT? How did you catch that? Sort of thing. Where she got that from? And he said, well, it's probably genetic. So we need to look in a bigger picture at everybody in the family. So my husband went first, and then my younger daughter, and then me last. And all theirs was clear. Mine came back that I had the same thing as Rosa.
My name's Sarah. I have 4 children, but sadly my eldest son is in heaven. I've got Leo, who's 9, twins are 7, and Jake would be 19 now, but he passed away when he was 16. He was he had Asperger's syndrome, and he was quite a different character. He was unique, very handsome, very well spoken, very clever, very intelligent, also annoying. Well, April the 10th, 3 years ago, I was going to take the twins and Leo to soft play. I didn't feel that well that morning. I don't know why. Felt a bit not right. And my phone rang when it was Jake's dad. Because we're separated, we weren't always the best of friends. I said, "Oh, hi, everything all right?" And he said, "No, everything's not all right." I said, What? Because I heard sirens in the background. I said, What is it? What is it? Jake's collapsed. His heart stopped. I said, "What?" And I dropped to my knees. And the police came to pick me up. I didn't know what to do. I was kind of in shock. So I got a bag together with bits, deodorant in case I had to sleep up there with him. And the police picked me up. He said, "I don't know what's happened, but we've got to get you there really quick." Got to the hospital. Police were there. Loads of doctors around Jake. And the nurse just wanted to put me in this little dark, little bright room. And I thought, "Oh, I want to see him. I want to see my son." So I got there and they were doing the bag and it was just laying there and his face was all broken blood vessels. And I said, what is it? What's wrong with him?" "Oh, we don't know. We're going to test him for meningitis or we don't know what it is." I said, "Oh my God." So, I went in the room and sat with Jake's dad and Nan. Jake collapsed at her house and she found him. She couldn't move him. And the ambulance men had to lay him down and they got his heart going. The doctor came in and said, "We're going to take him for a CT scan to check Jake's brain." And when he came back, he said, "Sorry, it's unlikely he's going to survive." And I said, "Oh my God, what do you mean? We're going to ventilate him, put him on the ward and he'll be on life support and we'll see how he goes." So got him up to the ward and that was for 2 days he was on the life support machine. And I said, "What happened? What happened to my son?" And they said, "Well, he had a cardiac arrest." "We don't know." I said, "Did he choke on something? What happened?" Because he had a habit of chewing straws and cause with his Asperger's he was always twiddling and chewing and I thought something had got caught. He said, "No, there's no evidence of that at all. It was just a cardiac arrest." And I was none the wiser, in state of shock. Couldn't believe this was actually happening. And seeing him there laying on this bed and gasping, and then 2 days later he was pronounced brain dead. No explanation at all. And all I got from the coroner's thing, there was a leaflet to call this charity, Heart Charity, and that's when I found out all the arrhythmia problems and what could happen to young children. So
should I ring these people, shouldn't I? So I thought about it for a little while, got some courage to ring, and then I rang them and I spoke to a lovely lady called Anne Jolly. And Anne is an excellent lady. She's got a world of information. She really has. And whatever question you asked her, she would always come back to you with an answer. So I decided I would like to give something back to SADS. And how could I help them? And Anne said, "How about becoming a patient coordinator for us?" So I thought about it for a little while and I said, "Yeah." So she said, "Right, fine, we'll see how things go." And she started sending me telephone numbers of people who had got long QT and how I could help people. So I would ring people and say to them, talk to them about their condition and our conditions and things, and try and give them some information. And they'd go away and think about it. Perhaps they'd ring me back and say, "What do you think about this? What do you think about that?" So I'd say, "Well, this is what you ought to do," or write it down in a book and then ask your consultant and things like that. I think he was quite upset about it all because he didn't know how to treat us. Should he treat us as normal, or should he treat us as somebody different? And he used to get very upset, especially when we both ended up in hospital sometimes at the same time. He'd be very upset, and so would Zoe as well. But now he's more better than us, I would say, about it. And we live life to the full as much as we can. And Rosa occasionally does some skydiving. It's not outdoor skydiving, indoor skydiving. So she does silly things like that to raise money for SADS and things.
The awareness is terrible. Everybody I speak to, what's Brigada? At the hospital, because my Ella complained of, Mummy, my heart hurts, of course. I was straight down to the A&E. The nurse never heard of Brigada syndrome. A nurse that's working in a hospital has never heard of Brigada. Luckily, the heart specialist I saw had, and I don't think half the GPs know what it is. Well, you don't get a cause in SADS deaths. A lot of it's put down to natural causes, which is ridiculous, because the heart in an arrhythmia death is structurally normal. So I think awareness has got to be spread. People need to know and know about the symptoms, definitely. Happy birthday, Leo, a poem from Jake. Although it may seem that you sometimes anger me, but you made me beam when Mum first let me see you as a baby, as cute as can be. We've shared memories together, some good, some bad, and I know that growing up you will make Mum sad. I know you'll agree, I knew straight from birth, that you, of all brothers, are the best one from earth.